Our year-long series of reports on Oklahoma's Black frontier towns continues in Tatums, Oklahoma this week. Jason Doyle spent time down in Carter County recently and joins us now with more on what makes Tatums truly unique. Jason.
Taylor, Tatums, named after founding brothers Lee and Eldridge Tatum, is the southernmost of the existing Oklahoma Black towns. Its history reads like an adventure, and the town's residents look forward to bringing their own back home this year. The people of Tatums like to celebrate both their town and its history.
We're out here celebrating Black History Month. We're having a Black History Month parade. You see people brought out their old school cars, bicycles, motorcycles, horses, all things of that nature. Good weather day, so we're just out here trying to have some fun and celebrate Black history and get some things going on in Tatums.
That includes future Tatums resident Shakura Sentwally, who helped decorate an entry for the Black History Parade.
I'm on the float for the Tatums Teoki Club, and so it's going to give us an opportunity to not only talk about our history overall as a people and tie it into Tatums.
Sentwally's float tells the story of Marcus Garvey, who organized the Negro Improvement Association in the early 1900s with a message encouraging Black people to build their own communities with businesses they need.
So that's why we chose to just share our history and then again tie it into how important it is that we work in unity to save our town, and then with other Black towns in Oklahoma. We do what we need to do to not only survive but thrive.
Tatums, history that reads like an adventure. In fact, the town might not exist if it wasn't for a kidnapping in New Orleans of a free Black woman who was sold into slavery before the Civil War. That's because plantation owner and Confederate Sergeant Jacob Wall bought that woman named Charlotte. He forced her to marry him, and they had 15 children. After the Civil War, he became concerned about his mixed-race children. Wall and Confederate Colonel Thomas Tatum, who also had mixed-race children and grandchildren, became concerned for their safety after the Civil War.
Mr. Tatum's father, who was Thomas, a colonel, I think, in the Confederate Army, he had multiple children some were Black, and was friends with Mr. Wall, who was his first sergeant in the military. And they both had Black children that they were concerned about.
Jacob Wall commissioned Thomas Tatum's sons, Lee and Eldridge Tatum, to make the trip to Indian Territory with his daughters and their husbands.
No matter who won, those children would need somewhere to go. So I think the actual plan for the town of Tatum was hatched during the Civil War between those two men, the father of Mr. Tatum, Thomas Tatum, and Mr. Wall, Jake Wall. Those two men hatched that plan, probably in a tent somewhere during the Civil War.
Settling just a few miles from the Chickasaw Nation, between Wild Horse Creek and the base of the Arbuckle Mountains, Lee Tatums and his wife Mary, along with Sergeant Wall's daughters and their husbands, began life in pre-statehood Oklahoma.
And the story goes as Mr. Tatum got bogged down in the mud from a recent storm. And by the time the mud cleared and he lost all his supplies and everything had washed away, and by the time he recovered, he decided to stay. So that's why Tatum is so far south from the others.
In 1895, Lee Tatum applied for a post office designation, which officially made their settlement the town of Tatums. Mr. Tatum took a different approach to growing the town than the other Black towns in Oklahoma. While other Black towns advertised for settlers, Tatum picked who he wanted to live there.
And you had to have a trade or a profession to even be invited. And in that way, Tatum is a very elitist place. And the people are very colorful and arrogant, and they can make things happen.
During those early days of development, Lee and Mary Tatum opened a grocery store. Eventually, other amenities were opened, and life began to flourish in this frontier town. Then oil was discovered under Tatums in the 1920s. There's evidence all around Tatums that the oil industry is vital to this community. In fact, it's in their logo, and a short drive around town, you'll find pump jacks like this or other signs of the oil industry all around the area. In fact, they made a movie about it.
But there was specific request to make this film in Tatum because people had heard of Tatum all over the United States because of Marshall Tatum being who he was, and you know, the town being full of cowboys and Indians, and all of them were black, every one of them, the cowboys and the Indians.
There has been some talk about the Black Gold movie. Even some colleagues of mine have reached out to, I believe, Norman Studios, who wrote the movie. And it would be nice to bring that back to action.
Town trustee Christopher Harvey believes that movie could live again in the form of a remake in the age of streaming shows.
You know, you have a lot of country stories and stuff going on right now, and you know, showcased on television right now. I think it'd be perfect timing, and it'd be a great opportunity to possibly recast that Black Gold movie here in the town of Tatums. That would be great.
The town of Tatums still relies on the oil industry.
Definitely, that's one of the driving factors. That's the driving workforce around here. The majority of your workers who are able to work close to Tatums, it's oil field related.
Even the highway that runs through Tatums has a connection to those early days and Buffalo soldiers. They constructed the trail between Fort Arbuckle and Fort Sill, which is the current pathway for Oklahoma Highway 7.
Even before there was a Tatum, I mean, Mr. Tatum wasn't even there yet, and Buffalo soldiers had cleared the way, and those other African-American or Africanized people were there.
It's believed that several Buffalo soldiers settled in Tatums, and that includes a relative of Dr. Roberts.
I think that's a forgotten part of Tatum's history, and I would like to awaken that. Again, my own great-grandfather, or great-great-grandfather, George Worley, was a Buffalo soldier.
Another legend of Tatums is that outlaws would show up from time to time.
The most interesting fact that I've heard about was the fact, or the rumor, I'm not sure if it's true or not, that Babyface Nelson, one of the bank robbers, was housed in Tatum, and he hid out here for a few days.
The Jesse James story that our grandmothers used to sit around and say they had stores and motels here. See, Tatum has always been a community, you know, striving to do better. And they had a motel here, and I guess maybe how the wooded areas were here, maybe not a lot of houses and stuff, but I heard Mr. Jesse James came and stayed at our motel.
While which outlaws stayed in Tatums is lost to history, that hotel was real. It's commemorated by the Teoki Club with this marker. That's not the only thing the Teokis have done for the town.
Our mission statement for our Teoki Club is to come together and work to achieve goals that benefit the town of Tatums, for the betterment of the town and its inhabitants, to help strengthen our community and to contribute to economic stability and mobility.
Bonnie Hooks is the president of the Teoki's Club.
We got started in 1961 by a lady named Viola Hooks Summerlin, and it started as a family reunion. All the people in Tatum that went to school here, or just the people from the town of Tatums, she decided, let's come home every 2 years, let's just have a family reunion. A little cookout, get out in somebody's yard, just everybody bring a covered dish, and we're gonna have a big cookout, a family reunion, and that's how it started.
Since 1961, the Teoki Club has held a town family reunion called the Teoki Convention every 2 years.
Just socialize, fellowship, and have fun during Teoki. Like I said, it's a family reunion. And everybody, even people that never grew up in Tatum, come here because it's that well known.
The Teoki Club is getting ready to host its first convention since the pandemic, and they expect a big crowd over the 4th of July holiday.
Now, this parade today is great, but if you want to see a real parade, come during Teoki, and be sure you get a park spot out on Highway 7, because you won't be able to get up in here if you don't get here early.
They use the money raised during the conventions to help the town.
We want to do a library for our children. These are our new visions, and we want to also have hot meals to be able to take to our seniors in our community. We want to have a wellness program to, it's good for us to move those legs and those arms and everything.
Of course, the town's leaders want to grow Tatums as well.
Oh, we do envision, eventually, possibly getting a grocery store here, any kind of faculties, businesses, manufacturing, things like that. We do have Highway 7 running right through the town, so we do have that. We do have that traffic. A truck stop would be nice.
Harvey says the town of Tatums is business friendly, so developers should consider this little black frontier town in Carter County.
Any of those ventures would really be nice, and if anyone's out there looking to cut their tax bill and relocate to the town of Tatum, please reach out to us. Maybe we can make something happen.
Coming up in June, my colleague Steve Shaw reports on the town of Tallahassee, often pronounced Tallahassee, located in Wagner County.